A weekend in Vegas. The Spurs continue to roll. Another perspective on the Lakers. Ooh, what an earthquake it could be in Los Angeles. And that's why he's the best the NBA may have ever seen. It's all coming up on this edition, post Vegas trip, of Tip Off. Boom, 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 boom. Saw Elton John. Boom, 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 boom. Fabulous. Only bet one hand of blackjack. Boom, 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 boom. Got a king. Boom, boom, and an ace. Boom, and blackjack. Boom, 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 and walked away from the table. Boom, 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 boom. How are you? I just got back from Vegas. Wife and I went away for the weekend. Decided to actually see if we still liked each other. We didn't. No, that was. I'm just kidding. But I don't see her much. We do still like each other. We knew we liked each other. We thought we'd just go spend some time together. We had a blast. We're not a boozing family. We're not a gambling family, and yet I've decided that Vegas is the craziest place I've ever been, and it's perfect for everyone for about 3 days. But it's just funky. I mean, I know probably most of you have been there, but boy, you walk around some of those shops and some of the high end stuff, and it blows your mind. And then, just from a business standpoint, like who knew that was going to work, and what a gamble that was! Crazy. I could actually do this, and probably will do most of this entire podcast today, morning tip off, on the Vegas experience. We stayed at the Palms, which is a Maloof resort, and he has put as much money into the Palms recently as he has into the Kings. None. It's fine. It's perfectly good. It's got great entertainment. But boy, it's nothing like any of the flashy places in town. And I thought it was kind of an interesting parallel to uh, who the who the Kings are in the NBA. The only one that was a little hysterical was the TV set in our room. Was a non-HD TV, like one of those Panasonic big huge bubble things. Bagley, if you're listening, or Scotty, if you're listening, it's actually the one that I donated to this radio station. It's like smaller than my computer screen probably at this point. It's just kind of funny that like here's us trying to be all cool and hip, and Busta Rhymes is coming, and Ludacris is coming for Memorial Day, and here's your Panasonic tube television that has it's bigger back than it is actually in the front screen. It made it very interesting to watch some games, though you're walking around. So yeah, Mike and the Maloof walls are paper thin. I will tell you that when you're the early bed people. Yes, I've gotten old. Oh my gosh, here was the ultimate sign how old we've gotten. One, the pool at the Palms is one of those party pools. It looks like a heck of a lot of fun, if that's where I was in my life. But so my wife and I went down early on Sunday morning because we were there on a Groupon, so we had $100 of pool credit, and we're not ordering the $400 bottle of whatever, getting bottle service. And so we're trying to, we just like ordered the three items on the breakfast menu twice. Uh, so we go down, and I mean, there's just this young, thong here and this there and these those and those hanging out there and just everywhere, right? And we're sitting in the back reading our Kindles. We have like officially become the old couple that's like reading their book. It's early, and we're kind of in the back corner, and the music's not really bumping yet. And golly, it's crazy. Like 3 o'clock, those pools, like woo, that is a different world. And so we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, my wife's Japanese, and we're sitting there, and this 70-year-old Japanese couple comes and sits next to us. And we're like, we were the people that made them feel comfortable. We were the people that let them look around. Oh, look at those other old people. They will feel comfortable sitting next to them. So this little Japanese lady pops up at one point, and she asks somebody to take her picture for her. And the woman's first instinct, there's four chairs of us by a tree, like, is to take the wide picture of all four of us as though we're a family. Like, no, we're just old like that. My other Vegas observation: power, vanity, sex. It's what rules the world. If you read most history, it probably does. Most history of various things, it does. I won't elaborate too much on my viewpoint of that, but I'll offend some people. Power, vanity, sex. That's what rules everything. That's my consensus after a weekend in Vegas. Uh, the vanity to have uh, the amount of purchasing that goes on at some of those places for the prices that they pay. Power is intertwined in that. Vanity, the way everyone's worried about their look, and sex is abundantly clear. Those are my Vegas observations. I got some of the futures right here. I thought it was interesting. Tiger is 10-1, second most likely to win the U.S. Open at Olympic, June 14th through the 17th. McIlroy is 7-1. I don't know how you ever pick who wins a golf tournament, but it seems to me that you could play around with some guys from the 30 to 50-1 area and probably figure out a way to make some money if you knew how to bet. Then here's the pro or the college football numbers. What I thought about college football is there's only 6 teams that are inside 10-1 to win it. LSU, Alabama, USC, Oklahoma, Oregon, Georgia. So you have 3 SEC, 2 Pac-10, and 1 Big 12 team. Isn't that the essence of what's going on in college football right now with the bowl arrangements and the coupling of conferences and the potential 4-team, this and that? I thought it was really. I thought that was really telling that that there's 6 teams that they view inside 10-1, and of course they're all the power teams. BYU is 125-1. Utah is 200-1. I'm not sure that says that they think that BYU is better than Utah. I think it just means that BYU plays a schedule that gives them more chance to win a national championship. But frankly, a bet on either of those would be one of the stupidest things ever. Stanford kicks both your butts and is 100-1. So take that and smoke it in your Vegas pipe. It means nothing, but I'm talking trash. The Spurs win again last night. I will admit I did not see all of it. I saw inner pieces of it, and I just watched the end of it on DVR this morning just so I could talk about it. I mean, only the last 5 minutes. I watched most of the first third. I will say I thought the Spurs were way off yesterday. When I was watching the first quarter at the Caesar Sportsbook, they weren't in the right spots in their offense. They weren't into the game the same way they usually are. They weren't being able to get some of the stuff, and they looked way off. It may have been playing on the back end of a back-to-back. In the third quarter, I thought it was even more pronounced. They started to do something I'd never seen them do before, which is start to take the easy way out. I actually thought the Clippers wrote a little bit of a script on how to get them. If you pressure them enough and can push them off their spots, I thought Chris Paul set the tone in the first play of the entire game, just out on them, that they get slowed a bit. Not a lot, but a bit. And I thought that was telling in regards to what we're going to see coming from Oklahoma City. At some point, someone's going to give them a real challenge. I mean, they've earned the right to play the 8th and the 5th seed, and now we will see what happens. Because I don't know. I don't know if they walk through Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is pretty darn good. So it seems to me that would be a strange way for them to walk through. And I would be real surprised, I guess, more than anything else, if they walked through the next round of things. What's more interesting is what's going to happen in Los Angeles. Everyone's perspective on the Lakers right now is that, well, they could be up 3-1. They also could have been swept quite easily. They pissed away 2 games, yes, but they also almost didn't get the other one. While I was watching Game 3, I thought they were going to lose. I kept kind of saying to my wife, who does know sports, what are they going to do? Now, I'm not sure whether 1-game victory is going to alter the perspective that everyone has on the Lakers season, but to me, they're competing a little bit with Oklahoma City. I mean, these are close games, so they're not that far off. So maybe they can convince themselves that all they have to do is tweak a little bit. But Oklahoma City is trending clearly to me in one direction, and LA is clearly trending to me in a different direction. And it's going to be very curious to me to watch how LA deals with this in the offseason because Kobe's old. This has been my. I understand it's probably the drum is getting beat at a excessive level here. No pun to the open of the show, but they really are. Kobe is getting old, and Kobe the other night was 12 of 28, and he struggled in the fourth quarter again, and he shot 5 of 14 on shots outside 16 feet. He's it was the back end of a back to back, and there's a bunch of other things that were unique to this season, but it's not unique to what his age is. Um, and they are still a great offensive team. I mean, the production in the Oklahoma City uh, Laker game, that 103-100 game, was an incredibly high offensive level production in that game, as really it was in the previous game. This has been an offensive series. Teams have not been able to get into him defensively, and Kobe in that game had a similar. I mean, he was in that game he was 3 of 13 from outside 16 feet. He is just not. He doesn't have that aspect of his game with consistency anymore. These are tough looks. He can't break free. I go back to earlier this year. There was a game against Denver. He went one-on-one on Danilo Gallinari on back-to-back plays. It was a noon game. I remember watching it in a hotel room in some random city, and he couldn't beat him. He couldn't beat Danilo Gallinari one-on-one. He didn't get by him. And to me, that's really where everything has changed in the world of Kobe. And they have 2 more years at 20 plus 30 million on him. Bynum is definitely a future piece who is incredibly inconsistent, and Gasol's fabulous, but he has become the scapegoat there, somewhat predicated based on what Kobe has to say, somewhat on reality that he has not been as aggressive as they may want him to be, but sometimes I also think he should take more than 8 shot attempts he took in Game 3 of the series. I don't think there's any denying that. So he's got to be more aggressive, but I can't imagine he wants to be unaggressive. Uh, and he took 10 shots the other night. So you would like more out of him, and his rebounding has been subpar. He's been subpar in the series. Why? I think you have to figure out. Well, why? Because he's a third option. They're running the ball to Bynum. They're running the ball to Kobe. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to trade Gasol to New Jersey and a sign and trade for Darren. Just restructure the team and see how they can figure this out to make major free agent splash and using Gasol as a little bit of that piece to get that done. On the other side, the Clippers are very interesting. Blake's got up for an extension. I would assume he'll sign it with his injury history. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't. But if he doesn't, they suddenly have both Blake and Chris Paul going to free agency this next year, and they are both seemingly good enough guys. Paul's a fighter. Blake's got some weaknesses, I've been told, but I probably can't get into. Uh, and we'll see what happens here. But at this moment, what really happens is they control the franchise. And does Vinny Del Negro come back? And what personnel moves? And the Clippers suddenly have to run this franchise in a fashion to keep Blake and Chris happy. And that's hey, that's the right thing to do. But it's also a very hard way to run a franchise in the sense that you've become beholden to your stars, and they don't always know what's right. You also are nervous to upset them. They may have a buddy on the team you're not sure what to do with. It makes things very interesting. And Blake's game is really raw. Now he's truly in his second year. I mean, he's Gordon Hayward and Derek Favors, and he's so far ahead of them. It's crazy. So let's not get too far on our criticism of him. But he's got some things. Ron Boone pointed out to me. Shoots on the way down on the jump shot. Favors does that a little bit too, though. He's rectified it. It's going to be interesting to see. He's got to make major strides in his game, and we're going to learn a lot about Blake coming up here because I every indication he's a worker. He's been very successful without having those refined skills in his game, and there have been plenty of guys in this league who are workers who don't take that next jump. The people that are criticizing him relentlessly, really, I think that's greatly unfair. If you look at his career path, frankly, Blake's had bunch of injuries, misses an entire year, comes back from the injuries, plays his first year. He's terrific, and then when you he's had pretty limited. There've been little things that have been going on to prevent him from uh, getting all of the time he might want to get out on the in his development and things of that nature. And I would say it's worth just kind of thinking about that when you criticize him. And he has gotten better. Um, but he's essentially just finished his second year, and the year in between his first and second has no summer league, no training camp, no work with anyone. And so if you're going to give that as an out for Gordon and you're going to give that as an out for Derek and all those other guys in that second year struggled, I think you have to do the same for Blake. But and some of his numbers um, look as though they went down, but truly, if you go look at them inside of the spectrum of advanced statistics and some other things, I would say they improved. He goes to the free throw line a good amount, about the same amount as he did prior. His rebounding numbers are down slightly, uh, and but his shooting percentage was way up. He's progressed. There's no debate about that. And so I think people should probably back off and the criticism. Oh, he's not. Come on, he's a second year player. The more interesting one there is what are they going to do with DeAndre Jordan, who they got suckered into a huge contract to because they didn't want to give him up to the Warriors, and the and he doesn't even finish games for him. He can't shoot free throws, and he's made like 2 baskets outside of the rim his entire life, which is a slight exaggeration. And they're on the hook with DeAndre Jordan for 10 or 11 million a year coming up here. Mo Williams is interesting. They have extra guards, and it's probably something the Jazz should keep an eye on. Mo Williams has a player option at 8.5 million, and the Jazz have always liked Mo Williams. He could fit inside of potential. Maybe he's the guy who exercises the player option, and he becomes a trade exception guy that you can pull off some deal with the Clippers do that because they've got to open up time for Eric Bledsoe and get him more opportunity. I'm not sure if it's a possibility, and I'm not sure I'm a huge Mo Williams fan as much as everybody else is. All right, that's a bunch of thoughts. I will move forward with our previews. The Paul Millsap and Al Jefferson ones are done. I've seen the traffic numbers at Locked on Jazz. I thank you very much. The YouTube and podcast numbers continue to stay really pretty high, and I'm really excited for that. I will stay here. That whole 13, 20, 12, 80 thing is going on, and they're all moving over and switching around and changing things up, and should be good for you. And but we'll try to keep this as a constant, kind of on a different level of what they're doing. They're doing the live stuff. We'll try to keep you up to date with the nitty gritty, the niche audience, the diehard Jazz fan that you are to hear this kind of stuff. Gordon Hayward will be the previews that I will start today for you on the site. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Adios.